Yo, what's poppin'? So, three games from APAC today. The first one being the Seoul Dynasty, 8-2 with a plus 16 against the LA Valiant, 3-6 with a minus 8. Ends up being a 3-0 for Seoul. So, Lee Jong's a quick 2-0 with Seoul playing Prophet, Stalker, Smurf, Creative, and Dame. Valiant playing Easy Han, Innovation, Marvel, Lingza, and Molly. Uh, Gardens is a 100-0 for Seoul, and Seoul playing a Pharah, Tracer, Doom on a Zen, but that Pharah becomes an Echo after one fight. And Valiant playing Tracer, Sombra, Doom, Lucio, Zen. So Valiant almost came away with the initial fight win, but they weren't able to clean up fast enough. And then Prophet came back, and then from there, Valiant didn't really know how to close out a fight again. The Valiant comp wants to go really fast because they don't have a lot of healing, but they couldn't set tempo enough to allow their low healing to be like all right. And Soul's comp kind of wants to play slow, and with the Echo, it's very easy to do that because it kind of forces it doesn't force it to play slow, but I don't know, Valiant just weren't able to do it enough. Um, and this die feels very uncoordinated because it feels like there's never really a big sync from Easy Han or Innovation with Marvel to die from multiple angles. You'd think on Tracer Sombra it should be easy to die from like three different angles, but it just doesn't really happen. And Prophet is very unpressured and is basically allowed to do whatever he wants on the Echo. Night Market's a 100 to 48 for Soul, so Soul are pretty dominant here. And while Valiant does get point control twice, and they're playing similar comps, right? The only difference being a Sojourn for Valiant and an Ash for Soul. Valiant does get control of the point twice, right? But it's due to Soul deciding that they didn't want to commit ults whenever they were like down a pick. Maybe Easy Han found a pick on the Sojourn or something like that, and they didn't want to invest alts into it, so they just back up and they go back in with alts and they just win. Um, Oftentimes Marvel was just dying out in the open, sometimes even with his power block available. So I don't know if he was getting hard focused down from different angles that's what we're taking, or if Molly just wasn't able to heal him up, or I don't know what was going on there, but it wasn't great. Moving on to Li Zhang, not Li Zhang. This is a Eichenwald. Moving on to Eichenwald, it's a 5-4 for Soul. So this is kind of close. Dia comes in for Easy Hunt. Becky comes in for Innovation. Um, so on the offense, Soul playing Tracer, Cassidy, Zarya, Ana, Brig. Valiant playing Echo Tracer, Dooms, and Ana. And Soul just kind of roll this. They roll through A with 520 going into B. They roll through B for a bit. They have 4 minutes going into C. And then they finish with 304. So Valiant, the dive just wasn't enough to trade backlines or rotate away from Smurf, who was just walking into them and doing it like 10 more billion damage. Like it was just unreal. Um, I don't know. Smurf even misses a grab on C, but it doesn't matter because so we're always able to stabilize and move back in as a group and just walk onto them. Valiant's offense is a bit better. So Soul playing Tracer, Sojourn, Sigma, Zen, Bap, with Valiant playing Echo, Tracer, Doom, Zen, Ana. This time Valiant's able to set the tempo and take advantage of Soul, who are playing the slower, more pokey composition. And because they're playing so slow, it lets Becky be able to go crazy. So while Soul are just sitting back and poking on B, they're slowly dying one-to-one to Val. Because they just roll through A. I guess I should probably say that. They just rolled through A. Smurf died, Smurf died, and Becky gets nanoed, and they just kind of win. Um, on B, they're slowly down 1-1, and Valiant do a great job of stabilizing on the castle when they do lose people early, and when Soul push them, they make good rotations. Like there was a time where they stabilized on the castle, so Soul pushes the castle, and then Valiant they don't fight on the castle. They rotate around and they go back towards the point, and then as Soul try to move back towards the point because you have to contest it. That's when the dive executes and they kill them. So very good rotations there. Um, Smurf swapped over to Zarya on C, which allowed Val to be even more aggressive because Zarya doesn't have any energy because you just swapped is very easy to take advantage of, especially when bubbles come out and you don't get good energy, which Smurf didn't in this particular instance. And they just kind of roll over Soul. And yeah, Prophet was also being shut down very often on this offense, or on his defense, I guess. He was dying first a lot to either Dia or to Molly even. And I think that's largely part because Soul doesn't really have the ability to make space for him. He's making all his space himself, and it kind of hurts him there. But Dia will just take him out when he has to. Uh, Moving over to Valiant's second offense, where they have 2 minutes. They're playing Echo Tracer, Winston, Zen, Ana now, and Soul are playing Echo, Sojourn, Zarya, Ana, Brig. They're just on Zarya right off the rip. But yeah, Valiant kind of rolling on their second offense. It looks good for them to close at B even, but Stalker makes a good play where he flanks all the way around, is able to kill both supports, and Soul come out on top. And then on Soul's offense, they're playing Tracer, Sojourn, Zarya on a Brig again. Valiant playing Echo, Tracer, Winston, and Ana, so now they're on the Winston. And this time, Soulline able to just walk into Valiant, and it looks like they've lost the first fight, but again, Stalker comes up again, huge, and kills like 4 with Smurf in tandem to get through A. And then this aggression continues on the B. Valiant try to dive them, but Stalker shutting down Nano Becky, Prophet doing some cleanup, and then they win. So Stalker really is the star of the show here in these extra rounds. He's the reason that Valiant gets stopped on their offense. He's the reason that Soul continue with their offense, really. So Stalker goes crazy there. Route 66 is a 2-1 for Soul. Fitz comes in for Stalker. Easy Han comes in for Dia, and Innovation comes in for Becky. I'm not a huge fan of subbing at Dia still. I still think Dia is probably your best DPS, and throughout this stage, you've looked better on Dia when you're Valiant. And he's been playing less than he probably should be. So Valiant's offense has Soul playing Tracer, Sojourn, Sigma on a Zen, Valiant playing Sojourn, Tracer, Dooms, and Ana, and Valiant basically get nothing going on A for the entire duration until the final moments where where is it? Hello? Yeah, so hold on. Okay, so yeah, so Valiant just come alive in their final push of A. They're able to hold on. Yeah, Soul use all their ults and they just come back and they ult them back, right? But Soul on their A, they were using their multiple poke angles that they had available from the Sigma and the Sojourn and the Zen, as well as Prophet on the Tracer just being annoying to stop Valiant before they really got any purchase on anything of the cart, on any of the high ground, on whatever that was. Often getting picks early. Innovation was getting shut down by Vindame often on the Zenyatta, and yeah, so Valiant get a good portion through B because Soul recontested A and just kind of died, and then yeah, Prophet struggles a lot though. Actually, Prophet after A, he like insta-died like the first 2 fights of B. Luckily, Soul were able to bail him out and win one of those fights anyway, because Fitz is just a god, and they're able to hold out on B. Soul's offense, they're on Tracer, Ashe, Zarya on a Brig with Valiant playing Sojourn, Tracer, Dooms, and Ana. So back on the Zarya comp, I'm not sure if this is something we're going to see more looking into the tournament, but or if they're just experimenting with it, but I don't love it. Anyway, Soul are heavily relying on big ults to get them to win fights using the Graviton Surge, using the Bob, and things like that. However, ultimately, because Valiant use a lot of their ults, just like there's a time where they get a pick onto Soul's Ana, and then they use 3 ults anyway, and they still like you're using 3 ults on a fight you're already up 1 and it's the Ana you killed, which allows Soul to walk up and just use their ults for free. The Grav getting value, and just how the comp works. On B, Zarya struggles a lot. Valiant had ult saved up to be, and we're in a good position to close out the round. But Innovation gets caught out, and Marvel dies without using his ult. And then Soul's ults find decent value, even though Smurf does whiff his grab. Easy Han walks into it, so it's no big deal. And then they close out the series. So overall, Stalker is the Thompson player of the match. It would be Fitz if he played as much, but Stalker and Fitz both went crazy. Again, Stalker being huge on that Eichenwald, just massive. Great on the Sojourn. Played great on Lijiang. Was really the difference maker on Eichenwald though. There's a good chance that Valiant come away with the map if Stalker doesn't make not one but like 2 massive hero plays on both their defense and their offense there. Just star work, and definitely showing that he is like a valuable member of this Soul Dynasty roster. So overall, Liu Zhang just a roll. Valiant's fast comp, not really matching up well into Soul's slower one at this instance. Just because Valiant were kind of letting Soul set the tempo. Ikemob was quite close though, but again because of Stalker, Soul able to pull out. But Nano Becky was doing a lot, and Prophet was struggling. Soul's Zarya rolls through the offense, struggles a bit on the defense. with their slow pace of the Sigma, because Valiant actually do set the tempo now. But yeah, if Stalker doesn't win that, if Stalker doesn't go crazy, there's a good chance Valiant take us to a map 4. And Route 66 was kind of close, but in a way that like Soul Zarya comp felt really odd and just like an unnecessary risk when you're playing for a grab, and grab is like okay to play for, but it's a struggle, and you don't even win off of the grab really. And I really am interested to see if they're going to actually play this. But Prophet also had kind of a weird game. He did okay, but he wasn't great. Still played better than like most players would probably, but for him, he was getting caught out a few times, and I mean it's okay because his team bailed him out, but it's whatever. And Stalker and Fitz really outplayed him though. Like Stalker Fitz was the best player in the lobby, depending on who was in, basically all the time. And Vindame, again, his Zenyatta's gameplay is crazy. You would not know that guy's a main support by his gameplay. And Becky had a good match on Eichenwald specifically, and so did Molly actually. Molly was landing a lot of key nades that let Valiant win fights on Eichenwald. So shout out to Molly. Moving on to the Hangzhou Spark, 7-3 with a +10 map differential. It's the Chengdu Hunters 5-6 at a +0. This is 3-0 for Spark. This is not what I expected. I actually expected Chengdu to win this as a Spark fan. This is not quite how I envisioned this match going, and I'm glad. But Oasis was a 2-0 for Spark. They're playing Shy, Alpha E, Bernard, Irony, Super Rich. Chengdu playing Jinmu, Leaf, Gaga, Monk, Nisha. So City Centers are 199 for Spark. They're playing Ash, Tracer, Doom on a Brig. Chengdu playing Sombra, Tracer, Balls, and Brig. And Spark come out really strong, and they're on Doomfist, which is something we didn't actually see from them, because last week they were playing Ball basically full time or Sigma, right? There was no Doomfist to be seen, and I wasn't sure why, because it's like Bernard's not exactly good at the ball, but the Doomfist comes out, and that's fantastic. Shy and Alpha E are doing a lot. Jinmu and Sombra isn't really getting a lot done. Like sometimes he's finding good hacks on Bernard that results in winning fights, but overall it feels like he's just trying to bother Shy as much as possible, and if that's the case, I don't think Sombra's the character to do it, because as soon as he translocate away, Shy is free to do whatever he wants for an extended amount of time. Finding hacks on Bernard is good, but that's not a lot of value in the end, because if Bernard lives even just a second, he can just shift out, power block out, do whatever he needs to do. There was a time where he knew he was getting hacked, so he just shifted out, and then the momentum carried him out anyway. So just not big value, and the EMP wasn't huge. But still a pretty close one. Chengdu they look good, but I don't know. A lot of the time, like there was a time where at the very beginning, a lot of Chengdu's percentage came from Bernard dying to the Jinmu, right? So it does work there, but just no one else from Spark contested the point. There wasn't a Brig on the point, there wasn't an Ash on the point for a little bit, no Tracer. They just kind of gave it, and that gave Chengdu a lot of free percentage. Probably like 40 extra percent than they would have had otherwise. But yeah, I don't know. But Spark do look really good here. Chengdu also look good. They look probably as good as they did last match, the one yesterday against Shanghai. University is 173 for Spark. They're playing Ash Tracer Doom on a Brig again. Chengdu playing the same comp once again. Bernard insta-dies this time off the rip, and Chengdu cap, but Spark quickly regroup. And once Spark have control, they do a great job of not letting Chengdu get anything for free. They're getting picks a lot, and they're making it really hard for Gaga to engage into them. And Alpha Yi is going crazy on the supports, like straight up just crazy. Looking at how Chengdu actually do, like it ends up being like a 99 to like 20 probably for Spark or something, and Chengdu do get the flip eventually in overtime, but they use a lot of ults to do it. And if Shy dies, you have a good chance of winning, which is what happened there, right? But Alpha Yi kills 3. What are you gonna do? Eichenwald ends up being a 3-2 for Spark. Spark playing Sojourn, Tracer, Balls, and Brig on their offense. Chengdu holding with Echo, Sojourn, Winston on a Brig. So they actually load out on the Winston instead of the Ball, which is interesting. I kind of see it on defense here on first point, but I do like Ball. Gaga basically dives the choke initially, and then Irony literally walks on him, kicks him out of his bubble, and kills him. And Spark just kind of rolled through anyway. Chengdu stabilize on B because Gaga has a good primal, and to get through B, Spark end up rotating like all the way around into C somehow. Like they push the cart, right? It's under like the first bridge, and the backline rotates into the old spawn of Chengdu, and then Chengdu dive them in there, but they just keep walking and they walk into C, and then Gaga dies, and then Spark actually win off of it. So a super long rotation when they're just walking away from Gaga and they win off it. I don't know. I don't think that you can't plan that. That's not a plan you can do. That was so weird. Um, but yeah, and Chengdu hold on the last corner of C because Jinmu stabilizes them with the pulse and they're able to hold on. But it was a pretty good offense from Spark with some unorthodox strategies. But Jinmu able to stop them from finishing the thing basically. Chengdu's offense, they're playing Sojourn Tracer, Sigma, Zen, Bap on for Spark on the defense. Chengdu playing Tracer, Sojourn, Winston on a Lucio. Chengdu gets stuck on A for a bit because Shy and Alpha Yi are huge threats and they're making it very hard for them to walk through the choke. But Jinmu does make it into the backline on this B, and then Alpha Yi decides to chase him. And while that's going on, they make it all the way to C, and it's a very long, drawn-out 1v1. Chengdu are able to walk through into A, and they win the fight there in the 4v4. So no Alpha Yi, no win for Spark there, and Jinmu does his part basically by drawing Alpha Yi aggro. And Leave basically gets Chengdu through B in like 2 fights or so, despite Nisha actually getting his beat canceled in a flex. But it takes them a bit. It takes them to basically overtime. They have 1 minute 30 into C, and Shy comes up big, and they're unable to actually complete where they need to get to around the second corner, the final corner even on C. So Spark ended up winning, but a pretty solid look for both teams here. Both teams playing pretty solid games with Spark being that much better, just because Shy and Alpha Yi, like the difference between Alpha Yi and Jinmu was really pronounced in this, and Spark as a team knew how to exploit it. It felt like. Yeah, they let Jinmu take him away sometimes, but if he kills Jinmu quickly and goes back, then that fight's gone, right? So it kind of relies on Jinmu living because he's not winning that 1v1. He just hasn't. And Dorado ends up being a 3-0 for Spark. Gushwei comes in for Bernard. So we see Gushwei for the first time this stage. They finally believe in him a little bit. And he looked quite good, actually. So Spark play Ash, Tracer, Winston on a Brig. Chengdu play Tracer, Ash, Ball, Zen, Brig. And Shai just rolls Spark through A. Jinmu ends up stabilizing them and on B. Again, Jinmu being a stabilizing factor here. But eventually Spark pull up, they bob the high ground, holds that space, and Spark are able to push in. Gushwei gets a problem and gets them through B with about 2 minutes, I would say. So that's very good. But then on C, it does take them a bit to finish it out, and they finish it in overtime. So C takes a while because Chengdu able to hold them right at the beginning. Gaga very good at stalling the payload out there on the ball, and they're able to push Spark into their spawn and get some good staggers. Eventually, they rotate over, take the high ground, or they push the cart under the bridge a bit. Then Chengdu forces them back, but they're able to take the high ground out, and then Chengdu or Gushwei and Alfie actually rotate into the spawn. They get some kills like that, good staggers, and eventually the OT pops, and it doesn't look great for Spark. They don't have numbers. But Shy is able to live long enough to build up a bob before he dies and gets it on the point. It allows Gushwei to get off of the point and get a mega health back and just kind of live for a bit. He gets back on the point, and he lives for so long that he's able to get nano boost from Irony on the Ana, who's coming back from spawn. And that's really the tipping point where it allows Spark to finish the map. Because Gushwei lived for such an unreal amount of time. He lives the entire time after primaling the back line, after living on the cart with his DPS, going back off the cart. Just crazy. Very, very long live time. And that's the only reason they're able to cap it out. But they didn't even need to do that because on Chengdu's offense, they don't even get past A. There's just nothing getting done really. They fumble their Dragon Blade with Jinmu on the Genji because the Nano ends up going on to Gaga. And Jinmu just insta dies, and Chengdu actually C9 and don't even trigger overtime. And that looked like maybe a winnable fight. So yeah, that's it. That's it from Chengdu. So Tom player of the match going to the Alpha Yi. He's showing up in a big way on Tracer. He was the biggest difference maker here, probably between the two roles, between all the roles, I guess. Because if Jinmu distracted him for even a little bit, that's a massive dub for Chengdu because it makes their matchup a bit better. And he was outclassing him as heavy as Prophet or Fleta was even outclassing him this stage. And that's crazy because I had some question marks about Alpha Yi Tracer. I thought it was good, but I didn't think it was Prophet Fleta level. But this was a very good Prophet Fleta level performance from Alpha Yi. And if he continues to keep this up, I will have no more questions about it moving forward. So I'd like to see a little bit more before I call him like, oh yeah, he's an elite tracer in this league. I don't know if he's quite there yet, but he is very good. But overall, this is not the same spark as last week. All new compositions, all new like fights. They actually look like they have like goals and know what they want to do. Even like I said, maybe their rotate into Sion Ikoma wasn't planned. That could feasibly be planned. That could be something that they actually thought about doing. Um, and playing the Doomfist instead of the ball for Bernard, who did play Bernard a bit on the icon wall. He actually did play some ball, but it's a very good look because Bernard is not a ball player, so there's no reason not to put him on the Doomfist. It's not like his ball is exceptionally better or anything like that. So unlocking that option is very good. And I felt like Chengdu didn't look awful, and they were probably at the same level as they were yesterday against Shanghai. But Spark were just on a different level, and if they continue to bring this moving into the tournament, they will be a force to be reckoned with. But it's Hangzhou Spark, so don't have too much faith, right? So moving on to the final one, Guangzhou Charge 1 and 10 minus 23. It's the Shanghai Dragons 8 and 3 at a plus 6. Ends up being a 3-0 for Shanghai. Not going to talk too much about this one, to be honest. I'll talk a bit because Night Market was a Guangzhou a Charge win. So Charge playing Developed Twist A1, Crawling Unique Faraway. Shanghai playing Lip Fleta Fate Izayaki Li J Gone. On Night Market, we get a Ash Tracer Doom on a Zen from Charge, Ash Echo Balls and Bap from Dragons. No rush here at all. And Shanghai basically look like the better team here, except they basically push too far, a little too aggressive, let Charge cap far too easily, and continue not to only take fights but also commit ults in them. They would just leave the point, flip the point would flip for Charge, and they would just like dive into the backline, use their ults. Sometimes they lose them. So not only have you given them a bunch of free percentage, you've also wasted a bunch of your ultimates, and from there, it's very hard to get back into the game. And in your final fight, you have ults, you get a good rally off. But Fleta dies, Fake gets punched off the map, Lip Bob goes off the point, and then Chargers win. So a lot of things going wrong there. But basically, even though Choice I want to develop do pop off, the Charge take round one because of Shanghai's misplays. And it kind of happens again on Control Center, but this time Shanghai win because develops actually diffing Lip when he's on Ash, and Lip is now on the Sojourn. Both teams on the Doom now also. I don't know why I thought this was Control Center whenever I was talking, but it's not, right? So this is Control Center. Um, Shanghai get the point, but they push up a little too aggressively and give Charge the point again, and it takes them a bit to get back in and try and like figure out how they want to tackle this the point, because there's a time where they rotate like all the way around to the Charge side, but that doesn't work. But eventually they just roll in with Cole, because I guess I should mention this: Shanghai are on Sojourn, Tracer, Doom, Moira, Lucio, and Charge are on Ash, Genji, Doom on a Zen. So they just pull up with Cole and they win, and from there they play aggressively again. Not too aggressively though. They're playing up to the choke, but they're not going too far past it. Nothing stupid, right? And they're able to win it. And then Gardens is just a 138, because this is where Shanghai bring out the Castime, Ryan, Bap, Lucio, and Charge just don't know what to do. Trece 1 swaps over to the Pharah. Shanghai cap it, but like that's just it. Develops thinks Widow's the answer somehow. I don't know who he's picking. I don't know how it is, but whatever. And Charge end up winning just a fight. Like they get some kills and they flip, but then they immediately lose. Farway hits the cool moment where he reacts to Shatter with the Trank, so that's good. But straight up, they don't know what's going on. Icon Wall's a 3-0 for Shanghai. No real surprises. They cap out with 148 in the end. They're just roll to A. Charge went a little bit on B because you have Develop on Ash and you have Choice A1 on Tracer, so sure, you'll get some points, you'll get some fight wins. But on D, Krong dies, and it's like the Charge just like forget that they need to contest that point because no one goes to it, and then there's like 4 members of Charge spread out around B, and it's like they're playing like hide and seek. They're all around, and they all get staggered, and then they just lose C basically. It's a time where the Nano comes out on the Krong, and they dive deep, and they get basically everyone low except for the DPS, who are just killing everyone else. Like Li Jingang goes like 1 HP, Izayaki gets really low, Fake gets really low. Doesn't matter because you have Lip and Fleta just on the card, just killing everyone who looks at them. So I don't know. Charge's offense, Shanghai just win. There's a time where they lose someone and they back up and they basically give charge like a bunch of free space, but they don't even take it because it's like they don't even recognize that they left. So they slowly walk up and start the cap point, but then Shanghai just come back and they just win. They're just constantly setting tempo, and charge just don't have a chance to do anything. Circuit Royale's a 3-1 for Shanghai. Void comes in and Bebe comes in, so we get the big smiler going. Shanghai offense, they're playing Widow, Sojourn, Sigma, Zen, Bab. The Charge are playing Widow, Hondo, Sigma, Bab, Zen. And basically just a roll. Charge had 2 eliminations total. They finished the map. Shanghai finished the map with 327. Maybe that's the fastest Circuit Royale completion of ever. Um, I can't think of a faster one myself, but they just had an unreal amount of time. And Charge really didn't seem like they knew what they're doing. Even on C, it's most teams will just set up and pull, let the cart push to them, and try and get picks. If you can't get picks, you'll drop down because you have to. But they didn't. They actually tried to push Shanghai on their high ground while the cart was pushing, so it didn't make any sense because there's no pressure on the cart now, and then you kill all the charge, and it just doesn't make any sense. So just like a fundamental misunderstanding of how to play that point at all. And I don't know. On Charge's offense, they get through A because Choice A won and develop. That's just it. Other than that, Shanghai just win. So, player of the match, it's going to be Fleta. Playing a ton of different characters and was insane at each and every one. He was on the Mei, he was on the Echo, he was on the Tracer, he was on the Sojourn. Not much else you could ask for him. Those are basically all the characters that are there. And even though Choice A1 did win fights, he never actually seemed diffed by Choice A1, which a lot of teams will get diffed by Choice A1. He's that good. And there were times where Lip was diffed by Develop, but Fleta never got diffed by Choice A1, not really. So overall, Li Xiang was somewhat close because Shanghai just didn't respect Charge at all and played very uh, freely. But this match was all Shanghai the whole time. Like, yeah, you'll Charge DPS will win some fights, and Develop has found some good consistency in his game when he's on the Ash specifically. But Shanghai were ultimately the much better team and never really give Charge an opportunity to do anything at all. Um, so yeah, Charge are bad, Shanghai are good. That's just how it is. So yeah, like this video if you like it. Comment down below your thoughts on the matches. Um, Subscribe for more daily object content. But thank you so much for watching, and have yourself a good one.